Hey everyone, David DeHaas at Living in Waters, and today I have Meghan with me, and Meghan's going to share with her story. She just completed her first 10-day cleanse. So Meghan, why don't we begin? Tell us your background, what your story is, and why you came to Living in Waters, how you sought us out, and how you found us.
Okay, so I struggled for a lot of years with chronic fatigue, constipation, chronic fatigue pretty severely to the point where I couldn't do certain things with my kids. I couldn't exert myself by going to a zoo all day or just things like normal basic life without being in bed for 2 or 3 days afterwards because my body just felt like I got hit by a train.
So just to go to the zoo
yeah,
with your kids, 2 kids, right?
for a whole day.
For a whole day?
Yeah.
You'd be down for 3 days?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, muscles would be sore, just tired. My glands kind of felt a little bit swollen. Like I could just sleep all day.
Wow.
Yeah, but having 2 young kids, I can't sleep all day, so
Right.
it just caused a lot of stress and depression, just a lot of mental things that I went through too, just struggling with trying to cope with daily activities.
I think you also mentioned brain fog as well, right?
Yeah, lots and lots of brain fog. Yeah, so
what did you do for that? What was your, how long has this been going on? How many years?
probably about 10-ish years,
10
and
years.
I in my early 20s, right out of high school, I played college basketball for junior college in Wyoming. So I know what my body's capable of. I've, tested it to the extremes
Right.
of what it should be able to do. And so then having the total opposite in my life was very difficult. So I did some traveling in Europe for like 2.5 years. And kind of when I was over there, most of the time I didn't feel 100% normal. But then coming back to the States after that is when I really noticed like a big shift in my body. And that's just when it kind of started to just like progress down and down and down and down from there.
Okay.
Yeah. I've had surgeries. I've had my appendix removed, my gallbladder removed. I've been diagnosed with depression, and they tried to give me, drugs to treat depression. You're just depressed, you're just, they tried to give me Adderall to help with energy. I've had MRIs done. I've had spinal tap done. They tested my spinal fluid to see if that would ring true to anything. Multiple times I've had blood drawn and colonoscopy.
When they did the colonoscopy, what did they tell you?
That nothing, came back clean, I'm clear. My blood work comes back, everything's good.
And are you constipated? You're obviously constipated this time because you had, what came out first, your appendix or your gallbladder?
My appendix.
Your appendix was, and how old were you then?
About 24.
24, okay.
Yeah.
Have you had kids yet?
Yes, 2 kids.
So you had both your kids before age 24?
No, I had them after.
So you had them after?
About 25 and then 27.
And you're constipated at this time, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And yet...
Yeah, normal for me is like a bowel movement maybe every 3 or 4 days. And
Okay.
sometimes it can go longer if I'm traveling or if I'm, depending on what is going on in life.
Okay. So I just want to make this really clear because this is very typical when we see people come in, they've got constipation, but they've had their appendix out. So you had your appendix out first, and then they did your gallbladder.
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half. Colonoscopy in between or after?
After.
After all that, you still have constipation. Still have constipation.
Still have fatigue.
And the colonoscopy says nothing wrong.
Nothing wrong. They did biopsies.
Nothing wrong.
Nothing.
I think, okay, we see this all the time, and I just want to highlight this. It's a very typical experience. How about your tonsils? Do you still have your tonsils?
I still have my tonsils.
A lot of times, the tonsils are gone by now as well. So, and what's interesting, now sometimes this will happen after women have kids. That's why I ask you, had you had your kids yet? Because sometimes that will, when you're pregnant, you're having a lot of emotional stuff and so forth. But for you, this started were you out of college when this started?
Yes, out of college.
You're out of college, you're traveling in Europe, having a great time, and then this starts going downhill.
And I've always struggled with constipation even before that experience, but I just felt like that was kind of when I noticed that I couldn't get better.
So constipation was maybe throughout your childhood?
Yeah.
Okay. So it probably started when you were a baby.
Probably.
And you just thought it was normal because, well, we go poop every 3. I was there.
That's normal for me.
That's what I thought too, once every 3 days.
Yeah.
Right. And so we think that's normal, and it's not normal. It's a severe problem, and will lead to severe problems you experience. Okay, go ahead. So you came back from Europe. Now things have.
Actually finished my bachelor's degree after I came back from Europe, in the midst of getting married and starting a family and still dealing with all of this fatigue, starting my career as a teacher. And I had kind of, I don't know, just put my health to the side and just was kind of like, okay, well, I need to focus on other things, and nothing else that I have really pursued had worked, so I just kind of put on the blinders and persevered through life the best that I could.
Right.
Just trying to deal, with what with what had been given to me was kind of my view at the time.
Well, and as an athlete, we get taught to kind of push through things, right?
Right.
So
there's
you were
no
like,
quitting. There's no.
Yeah, don't quit, don't give up.
Yeah.
You can give an extra. So
right.
Yes.
You can work full time and have 2 kids
and be constipated
and be
sick.
constipated and sick. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So all right. So we deal with the MRIs. You've had your gallbladder and appendix out. Then what? Then what did you do?
For a couple years, I really didn't do anything.
Okay. What did you take? Did they suggest taking Metamucil or any kind of laxatives or anything like that? Anybody ever
Magnesium.
Magnesium?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and that maybe would help a little bit, from time to time. But yeah.
That's it. Nothing else.
Mm-mm.
No doctor ever says, hey, you need to be on some metnicillium. Maybe you ought to take some herbs.
No.
Cascara sagrada, anything like that. That was never suggested.
Mm-mm.
No, it's just you're depressed. And so did you stay on that depression medication?
For a little while, but it actually made me feel worse.
Right.
With the chronic fatigue, my body's really sensitive to any sort of stimulant, whether that's going to the zoo all day or medication, or my body's just really sensitive to anything external or internal. So, it made me feel worse actually doing the depression medication.
Okay, so you've had your 2 kids.
Yes.
You're married.
Yes.
You're living. You're teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just trying to power through it. Mm-hmm. For a couple of years, you do nothing. Then what did you start? Did you try?
Kind of just done my own, research and trying to find different things that would kind of relieve some of the symptoms that I was experiencing. Sometimes supplements would help, sometimes they wouldn't. I never connected the two as far as them all being intertwined as something that, maybe if I help deal with constipation, then that'll help with my fatigue, or if I deal with, and I honestly, with the constipation, I just feel like I had way bigger issues. That wasn't really even on my radar at all.
No connection between the constipation and everything else.
Yeah.
That's pretty typical, quite frankly.
Yeah.
That most people go and it's your hormones.
Mm-hmm.
They try hormones.
Yes, actually I have, Mm-hmm.
So you
my
try.
OB.
Yeah. So
try putting me on some different hormones, even some testosterone for a little while, to try to see if that would help my energy.
Right.
Progesterone. Sometimes it would help a little bit, but it wasn't ever anything that was consistent.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reality is because you haven't got to the root cause.
Right.
You haven't figured out that connection yet.
Right, and that's what I felt like every time. I kind of just didn't want to go to see a doctor or talk. I didn't want to talk about it anymore because
Right.
It just felt like everything was surface and no one was actually digging past what I was saying to actually find a root cause. And I knew that there was one. I just didn't.
No one was willing to tell you were full of poo.
Yeah.
Until I told you.
Oh. No one's ever said it like that.
Okay, so you did all that, and then anything before, and then how did you find us? How did you?
So really, I didn't pursue a lot with my health over the last couple of years. And then a friend of mine messaged me on Facebook, kind of out of nowhere.
Right.
Someone who has kind of known my history and known just a little bit about my health struggles, and she just basically said, I think you should try and check this out. And I wasn't really pursuing it at all at that time. It kind of came to me. And I was like, well, it's not going to hurt anything.
So she said check out Living Waters.
Right,
Okay.
check out Living Waters.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So that's when I made the phone call and came through and did a tour and kind of learned about everything that goes on here. And a lot of connections were kind of made for me during that time. Okay, this all makes sense. So.
Was it, when you watched the main webinar, we talk a lot about constipation in that, right? What was your thoughts then when you saw the...
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is not normal. Like,
Right.
At all.
Right.
At all. Yeah, and it makes sense. Like, if I'm building up toxins in my body, they need to be released.
We talked about parasites, and I know, of course, you've been doing the parasite cleanse, but was that ever brought up to you at all?
Yeah, after coming back from Europe,
Okay.
I did have an infectious disease doctor. Never was able to confirm that I had anything.
Okay. But he ran a stool sample?
He ran a stool. I've had I've had a lot of stool
A
samples.
lot of stool samples.
Yeah, nothing ever came back conclusive for parasites.
Right.
My dad is actually a physician, and him knowing my story, he just he ran some parasite stuff through me. Nothing really seemed to make me feel any better, so I kind of didn't think any more about parasites after that.
Right. Right. And that's very normal as well. I've actually had doctors call here and say, hey, we've tested this client and there's nothing in the stool sample, but yet he said he saw parasites come out when he was doing his colon hydrotherapy session and came out home with the toilet as well. And of course, we've got pictures and they're kind of like, how did this happen? But what we came to realize is we got to apply all these tools together as well as giving it to water. So those parasites, they like it. They don't want to, if you give them a great home, they want to stay in the body, right? So, yeah. So, now you came here, you do a few colonics, and then you do the 10-day cleanse. All right. And what happened? Tell us about your journey there.
Overall, it was a fantastic experience. I really let go of a lot. No pun intended. But I really like how coming here, I was able to address my mind, body, and my spirit. And I was able to receive healing in a lot of different aspects of my life that has just brought me a ton more peace in my life. I definitely have noticed a shift in energy and being able to do more throughout my days. I feel like that since I finished the 10-day cleanse, I've kind of had a gradual, almost like every day, I feel like my body's gaining a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Overall, it was a terrific experience.
Did you see parasites come out?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
On the colonic bed? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't parasites, I don't know what else it was. But yeah, I definitely saw some goopy, kind of wormy looking entities.
Entities, yes. Yes. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more. So you came here. Would you expecting to have a spiritual, mental, that kind of stuff?
No, and that's another thing that I had never connected together as being one and the same. Just this idea of our emotions and our thoughts, not only that having the power to change them, but realizing the power that we have within us to kind of lead us and guide us, as well as help us kind of navigate the things that we're going through. So that was a big awakening for me.
Isn't it freeing to finally aha.
And to have a tool that I can actually use with me in my day-to-day life that I can feel bringing positive effects to me, to my family, to my kids. It's not only something that I just used here and then never used again.
Right.
It's something that I'm taking with me and using and building and growing and changing, old thought patterns that I just thought that's the way I was.
Right.
And those are the things I think.
You've had some wins with your children too. Did you go home and teach some of these things to your? Do you want to share what you did?
My kids, we say our affirmations every night before bed. So as part of our prayers, we go through our affirmations and they say out loud that they love themselves, that they're open and safe. I let go and let God. And I've seen a shift in their kind of outlook on life and some of the behaviors or things that they were doing to kind of act out. My son goes to school a lot easier now. It used to be kind of a fight to get him to go to school.
Oh, wow.
And that's the biggest shift that I've noticed from him saying those affirmations at night. He's just a lot more carefree, I feel like.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big. And he's, what, 5?
He's 5.
5 years old.
Yeah.
Wow. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. So like I said, that I mean, I think that, you know, if you're going to deal with mind, body, and spirit, you can't really leave one of those out, because that makes up the person that we are. And dealing with us as the individual people, I mean, we're all different. And that was one thing that I really felt like when I came here, I was looked at as an individual with individual needs. And it wasn't just another person walking through the door that just classifying as all people the same, or, you know.
We try. That's our goal is to take each person where you're at, and based upon what's been going on in your world, yeah, sort of make a good description. Great. Well, it's been fun watching you on this journey, because it's been fun. Thank you. The best part of my job is I get to watch the miracles here, and watching Meghan's miracle was awesome. And just watching the face color change, and that was really a lot of fun, and just her energy. I remember that day. So did you do 2 or 3 climbs before you did the 10-day? Okay. So probably your 5th colonic, I could just see you. Well, Susan and some others noticed you stepped differently. Your walk, your walk was different. That day. Yeah, there was definitely a point. It's like whoop. Yeah.
And even my husband's noticed it. You know,
I'm sure.
Noticed out of anyone, like, you know, things that used to bog me down, or that I used to get a lot of anxiety about, or, you know, even just my energy on the weekends. I'm able to do more on the weekends and not be so exhausted the next day. So he's seen like the biggest transformation. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Is there anything else that you want to add?
I would say that you've tried a lot of things probably, and you probably didn't have the hesitation to take a prescription or to listen to what a doctor said. So I think you should go for it and try this, because it could be the best thing you've ever done.
Well, thanks for sharing. You know, when people share these stories, it changes the world, because your story is going to resonate with somebody that's experiencing the same thing. So I love bringing people on and doing these interviews, because everyone's got a different journey. Yours was definitely unique. Yeah. Because you did a lot of unique things, and there's also some things that are very relatable to a lot of people. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what I've been sharing with you, please do give us a thumbs up. Make a comment down below. Do share it with your friends and family. I'm David DeHaas from Living Waters, where miracles begin by healing from within.